It's 97.9 The Box, the Madd Hatta Morning Show, and we got some extremely talented ball-playing brothers in the city of H-Town. H-Town's on Rashard Lewis, and of course, Brandon Johnson in the building. Good morning. They all just happen to be up here on their own accord. I opened the door like, what y'all doing here? Yeah, y'all can come in. So I said, I got some stuff going on in my academy. I was like, okay, that's cool, come in. Ray said, I got some stories I need to tell. I was like, cool, tell your story, bro. That's what we're here for. Brandon, I'm going to start with you because your story is a very interesting story. Probably need to be made into a book or a movie. I hate to say that, but it's just the truth. But for those that don't know, first of all, tell them where you're from and how you got to school and then how we got to this situation that we're going to talk about this morning.
Oh, man. So, Houston, Texas. Born and raised in Houston, Texas.
Yes, sir.
Went to Really Ridge High School, man. Shouts out to TJ Ford and Daniel Ewing and all those guys, man. Made a huge impact on my future, man. Kind of motivated me for the next level. End up going to University of San Diego, playing there, man, and had a great career there. End up getting the opportunity to play at the next level. So I went to the Phoenix Suns. After that, I went over to the Wizards, did some preseason, played a few games, and then from there, man, something crazy happened in my life where I ended up coming home to Houston, see my moms, and 6 a.m. the FBI was at my door, man, and from there changed my world.
So you'd already played ball. You've already done all this, and you have no clue that there's an investigation going on about BJ's life.
Not at all, man.
6 o'clock in the morning, getting your sleep on, you look out the window, you see FBI.
Look, I'm a peephole. FBI, man. I see them circling the house. From there, I look out the people. I'm still not really knowledgeable what's going on.
Right.
I open the door, man, just like the movie. Guns are blazing. Put me down on the ground. My mom.
Oh, they did all that. They was forced.
Man, like I was a menace to society, as if. But at the same time, I'm not knowing the magnitude of the case, so I'm not knowing who involved. So once I found out who was involved in the case, I understood why they came with the guns and everything like that. But I don't find that out till later while I'm sitting on a bed in prison. I read USA Today the next morning, and its biggest day, the Mafia and all those guys are in my case at the moment. So
let's start there. So basically, I guess, is it a point shaving?
Situation? Point shaving. It's controlling the outcome of games. Basically, I was indicted on point shaving.
As a player?
Yeah, as a player. Well, at the time, I was in college when it happened. A year removed out of college, playing with the NBA. That had taken place when I engaged into the conversations. A little later, when I go through the whole investigation, as far as the details and everything like that, you'll kind of get an idea of the whole situation. But point shaving is basically controlling the outcome of the game.
Cooper, where did excuse me, didn't they have this story? I seem like I read this somewhere before.
It was on USA Today, man. It ran all the way on ESPN for a few months. So it definitely was a national case and things like that. And then what's crazy right now, they basically have legalized sports betting in states. So it's legalized in a sense, not point shaving, but legalized sports betting. And that's if you follow my journey, man, I'm going to a lot of universities right now speaking and basically educating them and preventing them from going through the same situation I went through.
So how did you get there? Let's go to that. How did it get to a point where maybe somebody comes to you and say, hey, man, miss a shot, take a shot, don't do this, do that.
Man,
did that actually happen to you?
Not specifically. And a lot of people think point shaving is basically because you got the ball and you say you're not going to score. You can miss a defensive assignment. You can give a tip. And I try to break it down when I go to the university as far as putting it in terms when I'm speaking to the men's basketball. Basically, if I was at a club right now and one of you sent over a young lady, basically, obviously, guys in the club looking for the women, and you send her over and she might say, hey, how you feeling? Obviously you're gonna vomit at the mouth with a young lady at the same time. So you talking to her and she's basically like, how you feeling? You might say you got a groin injury, an ankle injury, you might not play. She takes it back to that guy, for as if you want to just say the Mafia, I call them sharks at the same time. And that's a tip. And he goes back and bet. And makes
knowing
the money.
that you're an injured player.
Yeah, because every inch counts. You know what I'm saying? So if you're not going to play that game, you the best player.
This just sound like too much work.
Yeah.
But then again, I understand Cass is out there making a lot of money, bruh.
Yeah, when you get a million, that work is like, okay, I only did, that's 5 minutes. She go over there, talk to him.
Look pretty.
You don't know, though. Yeah. But a lot of people think point shave, he had the ball, he missed shots. Nah, it comes in so many different ways where, it impacts.
I have to ask, how often do you think that that's happening where some lady, or it could be all kind of small things where somebody finds out something about the team that maybe other people don't know, and it ends up in somebody else's hand where they can make money from the information? How often would you think, even today, do you think that that's still happening?
Yeah, frequently. I actually just saw an article about some guy in New York. kind of connected to Penn State. A guy from Columbia was betting on games. So it's happening often. It's just good players have bad games, bad players have good games. So it's hard to kind of put your fingerprint on it. But with them legalizing it in the States now, they're able to kind of track it. So it's a gift and a curse of doing it. But like I say, the integrity of the game, with it being legalized in the States, it's up for grabs. And that's what a lot of college coaches are scared of right now.
BJ, how did they find you even doing this? How did they find out that you were a part? I mean, I gotta ask. I'm like, how did because you said you was removed, you living your life, you chilling at mama's crib, you ain't doing this no more.
Man, honestly, they had the phone tapped. One of the coaches that I was
really
set
close
to. No, not set me up. It was I'm gonna go through.
I'm sorry, Rashard.
So one of the coaches. So I would have to go back to why I was vulnerable at the time. So I was homeless. I go to college. I'm basically there by myself the entire time, 5 years straight, not one visit. One of the coaches on the staff was black. I went to a private school with all white coaches and things like that. Obviously, me and him gravitated towards each other. He was an All-American. He practiced against me. So our connection, basically, he used that relationship to his advantage. You know, I'm from the city, so, you know, loyalty is key for me.
Right.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I grew up in a situation where I'm real dedicated for his loyalty, you know, and I understood that lifestyle. So he knew I wasn't far away from it, but he also knew I'm next door to the NBA. But I found out through the case he had went through some stuff with the mafia. He was in debt. So the only thing he could think of is trying to get himself out the situation.
And he uses
our
you
relationship.
To get information.
Yeah, I'm the best player on the team. I'm broke records and everything. So if I don't play or if I do play, obviously I find out I'm the #1 bet in Vegas for 3 years. So with that being said, they got his phone tapped. They brought an informant out and put it in a case. They was tracking the mafia in 2007. So in 2007, they kept tabs on the mafia. They find out the informant who's in the case, they find out he sees some gambling receipts, some betting receipts, and all of a sudden they bring it together. I'm in college and everything like that. Once I'm with the NBA, me and him on the phone, he's conversating about anything. But me and him, you got to know my personality to understand. You know, if you on the phone with your homie and say, man, I'm going to rob the bank, and then that bank get robbed, your words are under a microscope.
Sure right.
You're going to be in that indictment.
Sure
so
right.
when I'm talking noise and I'm just talking, me and him shooting, my words was put under a microscope. I remember in the interrogation room, they didn't tell me. When they picked me up, they rushed me out. I'm sitting in the interrogation room, and they talking to me, good cop, bad cop, and they talking to me, and they play the tape, and I hear my voice. Immediately, I knew.
You in trouble.
Yeah, my life changed in seconds.
So did you shut up right there? That's the first thing we learned, like, where's my lawyer?
Man, honestly, I didn't know my place in that case wasn't as instrumental as they thought. So in my head, I'm like, listen, I can give you whatever you want because I don't know what's going on to that extent. You know what I'm saying? So I knew I didn't point shave. And that's why I said, once you find out in the indictment, I said in my case 2.5 years before I even got sentenced. And I ended up just going in there saying, listen, I'm going to do an open plea. An open plea is basically saying what you did. I'm like, I got knowledge of what's going on. I knew what was going on, but he's legal to bet. If you go bet on games and tell me, that's not illegal. Right. But when they picked me up, the indictment, they just heard so much, they moved too fast on the case. So now I'm sitting in this case 2.5 years, which I got 9 other people in my case who's just living a regular life. My life consists of basketball. So when I get out of solitary, 7 days I sat in solitary when they picked me up, I lose my contract and my agent, so now I'm sitting here in 2 years trying to figure out which, my guys in here came in. That's why I said they like big brothers and mentors, because that program and everybody inside this program really gave me a chance to play the game again, just keeping me grounded. But overall, man, it was just... So
there was no charges? What
I ended up getting charged with knowledge of a conspiracy, which bribery charges. So in my head, they're telling me I get probation. So I'm like, okay, I get probation. I never had a case. I never been charged with anything. Graduated college. I'm not a menace to society in that sense. So all of a sudden I'm sitting in, like I said, my case was a national case. So when I find out, it's pressure for some of those judges, because now when I find out, they gotta set the tone. So I go in here, I'm looking at the judge, and in my head, I'm about to get out, continue my life, So we sit in there, the judge read off, and I was up to like 3 years. And I'm like, dude, this is basketball you talking about. This is plenty of murders out here and things like that. I'm like, this is basketball you talking about. And just so happened, I found out a lot of the people from my college and a lot of people around the city was sending letters. The mayor wrote a letter, and just so happened the character letters dropped my sentencing. So they ended up giving me 1 year and 6 months, basically. Wow. So now in that situation, man, I find out it's like you said, it's plenty of people out here doing this. So if you give me a certain amount of time, most of the time they take that case and put it in your case and they try to fight. The next lawyer will try to fight it. So if another kid was out here point shaving, they'll basically use it. But if they just give me probation, man, there's plenty of people that take that risk. You get what I'm saying? So now they set an example.
You got to be the example.
Yeah. So now I'm an example, and that's when I matured further. When I'm in prison, I'm thinking about everything, and the more I mature and get closer to God, man, I just start understanding how things unfolded.
So how effed up does this make BJ's life after all that goes on? Because now everybody, because of the national view, it's going to make everyone afraid to deal with you.
Yeah,
no matter how good you are.
I had to figure out how to adjust when the cheers stopped, man. So a lot of people, I had to look in their face, and I could see they saw failure more so in those years. So I had to adjust, man. Like I said, I come from a hard background. So quitting was never an option. I think the decision I made to involve myself in that case, the biggest decision I had to make and continue to keep pushing. So through that situation, man, like I tell people, a lot of things you're going through is an illusion. So in those 2 years, man, I had to figure out what was really important. Because like I said, my place in that case, I could think about it 30 minutes and kind of put my finger on it like, man, it held its weight, but I had to figure out what was really going on. Me dealing with leaving my family behind and me going to the NBA and actually being away from, I had my son in 2007. So I wasn't able to be the father I needed to be. So in those 2 years, man, what I did was get closer to God and try to understand what was the big picture. And those 2 years, he gave me an option to really get back to my son, be the father to my son. So that was more impactful than the case. I was able to fill that gap where I left my family at 14. So now I fill that gap. My dad, my mom's, we get closer. We get a relationship. My brothers, my sisters, and most of all, my son. I was able to take him to the school.
I hate to say something good came out of something bad.
I
got to go through all this to get to the good part.
But it a lot of times, man, you got to go through certain things. And like I said, that moment, I was able to restructure myself. It was two worlds I was living in, Houston and California. And the man I was, the BJ I was in Cali, and I was branded in Houston. To merge it was hard, because my family was struggling, but I'm out here living an amazing world, but I left so much behind where it was hard for me to blend. So in my prayers, he basically answered them, so now I remember sitting in the backyard when I finally got close to my father, and he was like, man, I wish I could have been there. And I was like, listen, I'm just tired. I'm ready for prison. I had been going so long, and then, I'm not a person that gets down. I try to stay in a positive light. So during that time, I'm like, listen, I'm ready for prison. I'm excited because I knew I was going to get that rest. I was going to be able to reinvent myself. Wow. So through those 2 years also, man, I'm up at 6:30, 12 o'clock, 7 p.m., training 3 times a day.
There's no time in there where you're saying to yourself, what a failure.
I'm done.
Because a lot of dudes, I'm just being honest, a lot of cats, they go there and this is what happens. That's the end.
Yeah. And I believe, like I said, it's God in me, man. I kept my same character. You would never knew I was going through this, and I was thankful for that. I was able to keep my mind, my mental, and everything stability. But at the same time, man, like I said, I got closer to certain things that I strayed away from, and that kind of kept me. I saw the bigger picture. My son, waking up with him every day, something I never had got a chance to. So I think I might have would have if I had time to really sit and think, but life was moving so fast, But I look at certain things like where you started from. A lot of dudes walk out and it was handed to them. Yeah. But when you start from, you look at your process and your progress through that whole situation. I'm saying, man, listen, I was in the streets. I ended up graduating college. I ended up making something out of my life. I come back home and I see a lot of dudes that was handed certain things that don't even make the best of that. So I took it from that standpoint, like, listen, every king got to come off his throne and you just got to rebuild yourself. But like I said, the biggest thing for me was God, man. Like, he rebuilt me through that time, and I got closer through that struggle, man.
BJ, dumb question. The guy that got you in trouble, what happened to him? Because I don't know.
Man.
Do you forgive him for the part he played and putting you in a position that, because without him, your life could have been a totally different situation. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Man, like I said, I'm a dude that, I take my hit on the head, man. I'm from the streets. So I don't look at the next man and try to compare that. Like, I at the same time, I knew a certain point of the information. You know what I'm saying? But like you said, if he don't involve me, certain things go a different way. But I don't go back in the past. I don't regret things like that. Like I say, I look at him as, man, you saw me struggling. The first day I get to the campus, I got 5 teammates. We sitting in condos, and they got their parents pulling up in trailers. They putting all this stuff in the drawers. I had 2 bags of clothes and a basketball. I don't even know what this life consists of. The coaches walk past me and say, hey, your parents coming? I lie and say they coming. But when about 2 hours later, the coaches leave, he calls me. tell me to come outside. He take me to Target, get me situated, you know. So from there, I'm there at barbecues. You know, he gave me a job out there. Man, the man put me on, even though I didn't know.
You don't hate this man?
Not at all, because that's not in my heart. In order for me to move on, I had to forgive. No, I don't hold anything against nobody, because it's my world.
Y'all could be cool today.
Yeah, that's my dude. We still talk. Yeah, that's my dude, because
really?
he saw me at a position where he knew I needed him, and at the same time, man, you take that risk and you try to figure it out, but everybody gonna make mistakes.
You're being responsible for your part.
Yeah,
in the
I don't.
situation.
Yeah, and that's me. You know, I put myself.
I commend you, brother.
Yeah,
I commend you.
Yeah,
I commend you.
I put myself in that situation
because it would have been easy for me to say his fault.
Yeah. I mean,
sorry, Rashard. I'm just saying. Sorry.
If you could go back and do anything different, would you?
No, because I wouldn't be sitting right here. You know, my story.
I don't want to say that this is the highlight of your life.
No, the highlight of my life. No, the highlight of my life is.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, it's just certain things that transpire. Sometimes you think that's the direction, and I call it trajectory, because certain things happen in my life that had to happen this way. You know, I would love to play in the NBA and do certain things. God gave me the ability to get out of prison and go play for the last 5 years professional ball. So I'm not. I would love, like I say, the main goal was the NBA, but certain things don't. It's no way I can use that energy to sit on there and say, man, I wish I could have did this. I don't give anything that kind of power.
Right.
That's a decision. I'm not about to make it the biggest thing in my life, and I try to delete it. You know what I'm saying? So I would love to be in the NBA. I'm not gonna lie. That's obviously the dream. But at the same time, man, I've created something where now I'm looking these kids in their face, and I can see the impact it makes, because there's so many kids that's poor, that's vulnerable. Like now they're trying to pay the players.
I was gonna ask you about that. How do you feel about that? What a kick in the face to y'all, man. Now so now they want to. Do y'all think that's right, Rashard?
Yes.
I mean, and I know you got to say yeah.
Yeah, I most definitely think it's right, because of these schools are getting paid from these talented kids, like Zion Williams, for example, last year. I mean, NCAA made a tremendous amount of money, especially during the tournament. You know, you had a number of kids that buy his product, so. These schools are making a lot of money off of these kids. So
how do you determine though who gets paid what? Because, like you said, Zion, one kid probably should get a little bit more than everybody else. And then if I make so much money while I'm in college, I could make enough where I don't know. Is the NBA still attractive to me? I don't know. If I'm 4 years and I'm already maybe a millionaire before I even walk to an NBA court.
I don't think nobody gonna say I don't want more money. Like y'all made some, but the objective, you know what I'm saying? Like
is to make a whole lot more.
You know, I call them professional student athletes, man, because that's what they are. And I think overall, man,
how do you pay them, BJ? How do you decide who gets what?
That's what I mean, I thought about that as well, because you got the Zion Williams on the team and you have the other guys. Everybody's a team. It's no team.
That's right.
So if you're giving this guy more money than the guy that's coming off the bench, I'm sure it would be some jealousy there or some.
Not even
but
if Zion, you know,
take the blueprint though. Take the blueprint. The NBA. You're not getting Danny Green is not about to get paid the same amount LeBron. So you take that blueprint. You got to respect it. If you're an athlete and they label you as that, man, you know that walk on is not about to get paid as much as Zion. Right. That's impossible. So take the same blueprint. Those kids that you putting on the show, you look at how much they actually, if you individualize the money they making, you put it like that. You give them
BJ, but
percentage.
I think that I can be like this guy here. If coach give me the opportunity to shine, like he giving him the opportunity to shine, I can get that money too.
That's amazing. You be like him if you really are. It's two different things. Like I can say I can rap like him, but you can't right now. Like that's not who you are right now. You get what I'm saying? So I believe, like, listen, just take that individual talent. He putting on. It's his moment right now. So you pay him like that, you know. But I think they professional student athletes, they should get paid.
All right. There it is right there. BJ, I appreciate you sharing your story and your honesty too. And you said you worked with Rashard Lewis too, who also had a chance to years of b-ball playing. Rashard, I just got to know. Is all that money still in your pocket? Oh, y'all wanted to ask too. Y'all know the brother made a lot of money. It was a lot of money. I ain't saying I'm counting his wallets, but y'all see the money. It's posted on Google, man.
It's in an account. It's in my kids' trust fund. I'm putting it up.
Is that a lot of pressure? This is the truth. Here it is. Sometimes it seems unfair, a little bit, but I get it. That you can one day, your life is going in one direction, and all of a sudden you get thrust upon you millions of dollars, and you cats, here it is, you 20, 21, 22, 23 max, and all of a sudden you're millionaires.
Right.
Nobody trains you how to manage money,
right?
How to think about when you're 23, you think whatever money you getting it forever.
Exactly.
I know when Rashard first got his first million, he wasn't he thinking I'm good for the rest of my life. I'm not thinking about one day Rashard 40. That's not even a. Who cares?
Right.
I'm gonna be millionaire forever. How do you learn to manage this load? And then you got to manage your friends, your family, because now your millions is really their millions. Mm-hmm. So they think all that ball playing you did and all the practice you did, they worthy of receiving everything that you did. So when you get 20 million, they got at least 3 apiece.
Right.
Because I saw you play the L-Stick with Rashard.
Rashard, no, I ain't lying. I'm just telling the truth, man. I mean, how do you deal with that's a lot of pressure for a dude.
Honestly, I dealt with it by going through the experience of coming out of high school, going straight to the pros. I didn't go to college, so
that's right.
I wasn't able to live on my own in dorm rooms and kind of wake up on my own and do a lot of different things. So I was kind of thrown into that world overnight. But good thing I had a great mom that kind of grounded me before I went off and did everything. But I still, it was a lot of speed bumps in the road. I'm a teenage kid off in Seattle, walking the gym. This is where I'm around grown men. So, I had to kind of find my way. And I kind of sat back and watch everything to fit in, but you're going to make the mistakes of giving money away to friends, to family. You're going to spend money on jewelry, clothes, and stuff that you really don't need, and you learn that as the years go on. But, I think you learn from your mistakes and by having that experience.
Rashard, do you think that, I'm glad you mentioned that, you went straight from school to doing what you was doing.
Right.
Should it be required that you spend some time in college?
Well, I think if you have the talent to go and compete in the NBA, and if you can stick in the NBA, a lot of these guys back then, before the rule change, was making their name eligible for the draft and wasn't able to compete or even be in the NBA. Then they have to go either overseas, go to China, or go to the G League, and their career is over within 2 or 3 years. Yep. If you can, it's kind of hard to say if kids can come out and compete. But if you can go to college and get a little bit of an education,
there's not a whole bunch of yous.
It's not, it's not a lot of. It's not a lot of LeBron James or Kobe Bryant's out there.
You was one of them. I mean, there's a small fraternity of you cats.
And I still had to learn and get better as the years went on. My first year in the NBA, I sat on a bench, so it wasn't like I jumped right into the league and was able to be productive right away. Right. It was a learning experience for me, not only on the court but as well as off the court. Yeah.
I got to talk about that first year real quick. Now, Rashard is a lifelong Rockets fan.
Still a Rockets fan.
And I know you came out of school, and the Rockets had a chance to draft you, and I think we drafted some sort of Slovakian player, which Milo Mosovocevic or something like that.
Yeah.
Were you upset as me that you weren't drafted?
Man, I was upset. I was, it hurt my feelings, honestly, because I was a hometown kid. My mom from here, my whole family. I wanted to be at home and play, but honestly, I think that was the best thing that could happen for me, is to get away from home as a teenager, go all the way to Seattle. It gave me a chance to focus in on the sport as well as getting better every year, because I think if I stayed home as a teenager, I don't know if I would have played in the NBA for 17 years.
But did you have to come back and beat the Rockets for 2 playoff series?
I wanted to beat the Rockets every chance I got, especially when I came home and played them. But it was tough coming home. Me being from here, getting 50 tickets to the game for family and friends. It was almost like my mind was in the crowd instead of being on the court. But other than that, I had a great career, and I really enjoyed it.
Is it kind of sad for you there's no Seattle Supersonics anymore?
It is, but I know that they're working on it, and they'll be a team there real soon. Seattle has great fans, and they most definitely deserve a basketball team, and I'm sure they'll be there soon.
Rashard know all the right answers. Yeah. I can tell. You can just tell that he's done press for so long. He know all the right answers. He ain't gonna weave out of it at all. He know what lane to stay in. Everything like, nah, bro, I'm a pro, dog. I'm a pro.
Can't burn no bridges. I made it back up here working with 97.9. You never know.
Let me tell you, it's the last place to go, bro. It's rough, homie.
Come on, man.
Keep doing what you're doing, because it's rough, man. It ain't pretty. Boys don't want to pay it right here, Rashard.
They gotta be paying, bro. Because you've been on the show.
You see the way we look up here, man. This shit ragged, homie. Come on, man.
No.
I was a young kid listening to this show, and it's still going. So I think this show is amazing.
Thank you, man. Thank you. So, do you ever miss playing? Well, I know you get to play for the Big 3, but NBA, when you first decided to leave the game, how did that weigh on you? You know what I'm saying? Because there comes a time and day where you're like, man, I don't.
Yeah.
Because I don't think players ever think about that final day.
You're gonna play forever.
Yeah.
My career stopped off a knee injury. I was playing with the Miami Heat. We won a championship, and then we came back and lost to Spurs that following year. And I had tore my quad tendon in the finals against the Spurs. After that the year was over, I became a free agent. I was signed with the Dallas Mavericks actually before I went to visit them and take a physical. When I took my physical, that's when I found out I needed to have surgery on my quad tendon. So they took the contract back. I went into that summer, had the surgery. And they told me actually I can come back after the All-Star break if I'm ready to play, and then we can get my season going in. But I wasn't 100%. I felt like I was going to re-injure myself if I went out there and played at a high level. So I took that whole year off. Summer came around. Some teams was calling for free agency, but it was teams that was kind of in rebuilding stages. I was in a part of my career where I won a championship. I want to be in the playoffs to try to get back to winning another championship. But the teams that was calling wasn't basically competing for a championship. So I felt like it was just be a waste of time for me to either go and sit on the bench and not play on a team that's not going to the playoffs.
See, I want y'all to notice. I hate to cut them off. See, this is when you've made a lot of money and you can weigh options. This is what this. I got a ring. I got money. You know what? That team sucks, dog. You know what? I don't need that extra $5 million. My investment's gonna get me that this year. No thanks, guy.
And you know what?
That's cool, Rashard.
What really made that decision
Hurt my
was
feelings over here.
when I left the Orlando Magic from playing in the finals. Losing to the Lakers in the finals, and I got traded to the Washington Wizards. And I experienced from going from a winning team to win a championship to a team that didn't care at all.
Wow.
A team that got young guys coming in last minute, getting late to practice, and I felt depressed. And I didn't like, because I'm a winner. I put everything into the game, and I love to win regardless. If we're gonna lose, let's play hard. Let's lose playing hard. And I felt like when I went to the Washington Wizards, I almost wanted to quit. And I'm not a quitter by any means necessary. So
there's atmospheres that are where there's a whole. How does that get? I've never heard this before.
It's just when you come from a winning organization and you go to an organization where when I was a rookie, Gary Payton was a guy. If I got to the gym late, he would let guys know. We had to pay our rookie dues. He told every young guy, you had to get to the gym an hour before practice, make sure you get your weightlifting in, get your shots up, and you got to be on
But y'all listen to it. I'm a millionaire. I ain't listening to nobody.
You got to be on the court 30 minutes before practice even start. So, that's how
I'd have been that guy.
That's how I was raised, to work for everything that I got. So when I went to a team and they had rookies coming in 5 minutes before practice started or didn't get there early to work on the game and to get better, how are you going to get better as a team if you're not trying to get better individually? So it was an atmosphere that I wasn't accustomed of, and I didn't like it at all, and I either wanted to get out of that situation or I was ready to be done with basketball.
Rashard, let me ask you this question too. When we watch a team play, how important is the coach to that team? Because we like to point the finger when the game go by. We'll blame the coach, and then because we the first one to be like, man, ain't it time to get a new dude in there? We say that fast. So how important really is the coach to the team?
The coach is the most important piece of the team, I think. Regardless of the talent you have on the floor, you have to have a good coach. And I've been a part of teams with a coach that didn't discipline the players, and we played that way. It showed on the court. And I've been a part of a team that held you accountable for every little mistake you did on and off the court, and we was a winning organization. And Nate McMillan is a prime example of that when I was with the Seattle Supersonics, as well as playing for Stan Van Gundy. Van Gundy is one of the best coaches I ever played up because he disciplined his players, and not only that, he held everybody accountable, and he's a winner, and he teaches the game the right way. If you have a coach that's kind of loose and don't hold your players accountable and let the stars get away with anything, but gets on the younger guys, it's it'll trickle down the lineup, and things won't go as you would like.
Sure, I've never talked to a coach, so I'm curious about this. How does a coach tell some kid that's worth $100 million what to do and what not to do? This guy, you got a court full of black millionaires.
Yeah.
How do you tell these guys? How do you make them work together and listen to you like you know it all and that you can lead them to the promised land?
Right. That's when chemistry and attitude make successful teams. If you don't have the chemistry, I don't care. Like when the Lakers had Gary Payton, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, they had Karl Malone, and it didn't work out. I don't know what their locker room was like, but you can have all the talent you have on the team, but if the chemistry is not there, it's not going to work out. When I played with the Miami Heat, Ray Allen, LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, Shane Battier, Udonis Haslem.
God damn.
Crazy.
Mike Miller.
Y'all was cheating.
That don't sound fair.
That's gonna work
as well. So the reason why I'm naming all these names is because we all was an all-star on another team, or we all was the man on a different team.
Right.
But when we all got to that team, we had roles we had to play, and everybody had a role. I had to come off the bench. Ray Allen, the Hall of Famer,
yes,
one of the best guys to ever do it, came off the bench. But everybody accepted their role, and we had good chemistry, and we lifted each other up, and we wasn't bitter or about you getting more minutes than me or you getting more points than me. It wasn't nothing like that. It was the chemistry meshed, and we was I think we broke records that year. We were one of the best teams in the league, and we won a championship.
Does that work? Can it work in reverse? You can, not saying that the coach is bad, but sometimes you have a team, and sometimes, especially back in the past, there were certain players that looked like they led that team.
Right.
And I won't say any names, but this is just a very high-powered player that plays ball on the West Coast. But it looked like a lot of times certain players run their team and not the coach. Is that true? Is there any circumstances in your mind when you think about it for any teams where there could be a player
I would say the coach is still running the team because the coach is the ones that sets up the meetings in the morning. We go over the film session with the coach. We do the walkthrough, the shoot-arounds with the coaches. That player you're talking about is an intelligent player, and the main guys like your captain on the team, he's the floor general when we're out on the court. He's the ones that's going to correct the mistakes within the players. During the timeout is when the coach can correct the mistakes. But you got to have a guy that kind of knows the game inside out on the court that's almost kind of like a coach, almost like a player coach. And I think it's really good to have one of those guys on the team because the coach can only tell you what to do. He can't go out there and run in between the lines with you.
True. Now you play with the Big 3. How is that?
Yeah, man, I love the Big 3. It's an amazing league.
I wasn't sure if it was going to work at first.
Job. You're right. A lot of people didn't know.
I wasn't sure, but when you watch, I enjoyed watching it. But I'm like, how's this going to really work?
Even when they called me and asked me if I wanted to join the Big 3, I was kind of hesitant, like half court, 3-on-3. Are we going to be able to get people in the arena? Are people going to actually come and watch older guys play basketball? But the Ice Cube, I guess, he's so hands-on with everything he do. He's always behind the scenes. He's there every weekend. He's there for everything. And he makes it work. Mm-hmm. I really commend the things he does. He's not just one of those guys that sit back and let people go work for him. Mm-hmm. He's there hands-on with every single thing he does.
It's fun to watch, man. I'm like, man, QB came. This is a great idea, but I don't know if it's going to work. Here's what I liked about it: to see the guys. I think there's some players. I hate that the game seems to age people out. That still have so much left, but the game says, nope. You've reached that age now, so you got to get out.
And like when you asked me earlier, it's a little kind of, I could say, therapy for me going into retirement because I went out with a knee injury, and then I'm sitting at home. Obviously I'm raising my kids and doing the little things as a dad, but it still was missing. I still love to compete. And when the Big 3 came along, it was like, okay, it was like new energy because I felt like I can still play basketball. I wasn't ready to retire yet. A knee injury took me out, so this is my NBA now. You know, and I feel like my kids was young when I was playing. They didn't really understand what's going on, but now they can understand, see dad working out every day or see dad playing on TV, and they really get a kick out of it more than anything. So that's a major reason why I wanted to continue to play in the Big 3 because of my kids.
Bring me in this year.
Any of you guys could go back and play in the NBA if given the opportunity?
I think some guys can. Like Joe Johnson really tore the league up this year, and he got an opportunity, went to Detroit, worked out with those guys. I actually was on the team, but I heard he had an injury, and they released him. But it's definitely some talent in there that can go either not only get back into the NBA or maybe even get a job in China, go overseas and play. It's a lot of cats a lot of hidden talent that's in the Big 3 that there's a platform for them to try to go off and play somewhere else.
What if they're I'm just big on this age thing. Is there a number in your head where you think that somebody could not be able to play, or should it 100,000 be based on ability?
It's funny you says that because there's some guys in there that's 37, 38 years old, and I have Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, Chris Jackson with the LSU on my team, and he's 49, 50 years old, and he's still, I think it's just, So I think it's more about how you take care of your body, what kind of shape you stay in throughout the year. I mean, he inspired me because I don't know if I can play to that. But I mean, for him to come out and tear the league up like he did, I think it lets people know if you take care of yourself, you can do anything.
Yeah, and I say that too because I watch Adrian Peterson when he plays football, and a lot of times these cats get aged out. I just hate that these games age out brothers that I think still got so much time left in them. And then I think it plays on their mind like, well, I know I reached that number now, so I got to start somebody keep telling me that,
Yeah.
you know, they keep tapping on me
Transition.
like it's time for me to get out now. I'm like, nah, if I still can do it, I'm not going to leave until it's time for me to leave. All right, Rashard, I know you got some other stuff you want to talk about. You did that. You had great years. You made your money. You still rich. You're living your best life. I get it. You ain't got to hold it up for everybody to see. But now you got some great stuff going on because you love to give back. You like to help out.
Yeah.
You got your academy. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, we had the Rashard Lewis Academy. Actually, it started with the twins, Elwood and Emmanuel, that started my...
Sorry about that dumb question. Were y'all twins?
Elwood and
Sorry,
Emmanuel,
bro.
that started my AAU team. It was when I was playing in the NBA, so I wasn't able to be, kind of back home, hands-on with the program that they did when I was still playing. Now that I'm done with the NBA and back home, I can kind of be a little bit behind the scenes, but more hands-on with the program, with the Rashard Lewis Academy. But it's not just AAU basketball. We're trying to start from the grassroots up, from kids doing little league programs to, skills and drills and training. We're coming up with an after-school program. There's a lot of things we're trying to do to give back to the community because I felt like when I was younger, I had an opportunity. Basketball took me out of Houston, out of the country. We're playing basketball, and that was from playing AAU basketball with the Houston Hoops. And they gave me an opportunity, so I feel like it's my duty to give these kids in the city of Houston an opportunity that I had.
Absolutely. Where can they go to get information? Can any kid join up and be a part of the academy?
Yes. Our IG page is Instagram page is Rashard Lewis Academy, as well as RashardLewis.com.
All right. Twins, y'all good?
RashardLewisAcademy.com.
No, I really appreciate y'all coming up. I appreciate your story. Brandon, it's an incredible story. Can people reach out to you? How can they reach out to you? And for those that don't know, what is Brandon Johnson doing now?
Right now, man, I'm still playing ball. I'm coming back from an injury, so hopefully Rashard put me in the Big 3 next year, man. So I ain't 49.
I'm telling you have to come with it because I am the owner of my team, and that's a good thing about the Big 3. Ice Cube it's a players league, so each player have one player that's the owner of their individual team. So if you want to be on the team, Brandon, I advise you get ready to hoop.
Listen, it will be no Rashard Academy if I don't make this. Hey, I'm planning something out for the whole gym situation. Nah, man, that's like my big goal right now. I'm training really hard to get back, man. My trainer, Ken, man, he's been working with me for a long time, man. So I'm looking forward to that, man. Hopefully I can make that happen. But my book is coming out, man, June 22nd.
Oh, you wrote a book? Oh,
yeah,
okay,
man, my book's
okay.
coming out June 22nd,
What's the book called?
man. Broken in Seconds, man.
Okay.
So it's coming out June 22nd. It's actually on I had my newborn on June 22nd. So
Nice.
so I'm gonna put it out on his birthday, man, and just bring it to that. And then I got the documentary we're putting together right now.
Okay.
Yeah, man. I'm excited, man. So those two or three big projects, that's one of my main goals right now.
Brandon Johnson, Rashard Lewis, thank y'all so
Thank
much
you,
for
man.
being a part of the show.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Thank y'all, man.